From Denver, this is Colorado's own Channel 2 News at 7.
Right now at 7, breaking news.
People were running everywhere. People were trying to cross and go the other way because everything was blowing up underneath the bridge. Black smoke, couldn't see. All they could hear was blowing up, and they were panicking.
I heard and felt something out of the normal and looked out the window, and it just started mushrooming up.
A fiery crash shuts down Interstate 70.
I saw the 18-wheeler come barreling through these cars down here, and he just wasn't slowing down. I hope there ain't nobody got stuck down in there. I hope everybody made it out safe.
Absolutely incredible images tonight. Sky 2 still over the scene of that deadly crash. Lakewood police now telling us this involved 12 cars and 3 semi-trucks, killing at least 1 person. Some good news we are learning just this hour. 6 people taken to hospital, but all 6 of those are either in good or fair condition tonight.
Investigators say a semi-truck slammed into slow traffic, causing a chain reaction crash that sparked this huge fire that you could see from Sky 2.
Now again, at least 1 person is dead. Multiple injuries being reported. We want to give you an idea of exactly where this crash happened. Take a look at this map. It happened right along I-70 near Colorado Mills Parkway. This is in Lakewood.
The fire broke out in the eastbound lanes. Crews shut down traffic in both directions. This video showing when the fire first broke out, and then about an hour later when firefighters were able to knock it down. Still working on some hot spots at this hour.
Yeah, we have a lot to get to tonight. Now we want to share some new video with you from someone who actually witnessed this crash the moment it happened. Take a listen.
Guys on your bumper. Yes, I know. You're welcome, guys. We just cured anxiety. Oh my God! Jesus Christ, we almost died! Oh my God! Something's on fire, blew up here, guys. Okay, we're gonna have to go this way.
Just amazing to see it from that perspective. Witnesses tell us they think that driver in that semi-truck going somewhere between 60 and 80 miles an hour, zooming by those cars, ultimately involved in that crash.
Incredibly scary images coming out of that area right now. Let's check in with Evan Krugel, who's been on the scene all afternoon. Evan, what can you tell us right now?
Yeah, still an incredibly active scene out here this evening after that massive crash shutting down I-70 in both directions. You just saw that incredible video. This is what the scene looks like out here right now. You're looking at I-70. You can see a few dozen cars here of law enforcement, first responders still here on the scene, zooming in on that bridge. This is where that happened. Witnesses saying a pickup truck out of control heading eastbound I-70, slamming into that bridge, and at least a dozen other cars parked underneath there. You mentioned at least 6 people injured and unfortunately 1 person dead tonight. The big question moving forward, what sort of stability is that bridge in tonight? CDOT working to answer that right now, but we do know this will be closed for quite some time out here as they try to piece together exactly what happened. You can see West Metro Fire, Lakewood Police, also some CDOT crews here on I-70 this evening trying to piece together exactly what happened. And we do know, again, I-70 planning to remain closed for quite some time. I did speak with a witness who was in this traffic. Again, this happened at 4:15. He was in that stop-and-go traffic when this happened. Here's what he had to say.
I see this semi-truck, probably was a double trailer. He's on the shoulder, and it looks like he's out of brakes or something, and he's probably going between 80 and 90 miles per hour. And he cuts into the traffic. As soon as he hits the bridge, he cuts into the cars and automatically exploded.
And we're hearing some incredible stories of people jumping in to help. We've got those stories coming your way here in just a couple of minutes. For now, we are live along I-70. Evan Krugel, Channel 2 News.
All right, Evan, thanks. Of course, we just learned moments ago, authorities are looking into what caused this. They're looking at the possibility of brake failure, mechanical failure of some kind. Certainly, that truck moving at very high speeds through traffic this afternoon.
It's still very early in the investigation. Lakewood police tell us this crash involved 12 cars and 3 semi-trucks.
Amazing more people weren't killed or injured by this. There was at least 1 person that was killed. We told you that, and multiple people taken to the hospital. Channel 2's Greg Nieto was also one of the first reporters on that scene this afternoon. And Greg, we want to ask you, what was it like to be there right after this happened?
much different story than what we're looking at right now, Kagan. We're on the opposite end of Evan, and when we first got here, of course, this scene was hardly something you could actually visualize, if you will. Big black plumes of smoke. You heard constant pop, pop, pop. We actually talked to a gentleman who was here on the corner, kind of standing here when everything went down. He was actually one of the first, and he's quick to credit that there were others to race down there and meet a lot of the drivers and passengers halfway up this hill and help bring them to safety.
St. Flames, I headed down under the bridge, grabbed 3 or 4 people out of a couple of cars, headed them down the ramp. We got a couple of them into other vehicles, headed them out to the hospital. I saw the 18-wheeler come barreling through these cars down here, and he just wasn't slowing down. There was people coming out of cars, but I immediately ran down there as soon as I seen the flames.
Darren and I have spent the past hour and a half just kind of talking and reflecting on what happened here earlier this afternoon, and truly a humble man. He just simply says that he was in the right place at the right time to try to save as many people as possible. Of course, hearing the news that one person did pass away, of course, still has him very shaken. As Evan was alluding to, this is going to be a long cleanup process, not to mention the bridge stability here. Once again, we're on the north side of this bad accident happening earlier today. We'll continue to keep this live picture up, but obviously a very troubling day for many involved.
Yeah, Greg, and oftentimes we see in times of tragedy people coming forward, rushing in to help. And that's what we saw there today. This new video just into our newsroom shows onlookers watching as you see that thick black plume of smoke rising into the air. Obviously, very scary moments for them on the bridge there as well.
And we are, Greg kind of alluded to it, but we're hearing so many stories about heroic citizens who just happen to be watching that news. It's going to take a while for help to arrive, immediately sprung into action. This could have been a whole lot worse. Yeah,
and this was just down the freeway from another crash involving a semi-truck and a school bus. So that backup and this backup, those emergency workers were stretched thin today.
Alex Rose is also one of our reporters who's been on the scene all afternoon. We want to go to him now. Alex, what are you seeing from your vantage point out there tonight?
Well, I'm standing right here on one of the on-ramps to I-70, Kagan. You can see the first responders just behind me, but take a look over my shoulder here. You can see some of the debris cleanup that's been going on as a result of this crash. Just a bunch of smoke piling up from the remnants of that. But over around this way, there are still some of the cars that were involved in all this and some of the people who were involved in this crash. I spoke moments ago to a truck driver who actually was impacted and involved in this crash. He says that that semi-truck came barreling down, and right behind him, take a listen to how he described the impact.
As soon as he hit my truck, I guess he brought the flames with him, and my cabin got smashed and it was engulfed in flames. And while my truck was moving, from the force that he did, I jumped out. I just felt the burns. As soon as he hit me, I just felt the fire, and I panicked a little, and I jumped out as soon as I could.
You can just imagine how terrifying that was to hear the impact, to feel the fire right on your back as that truck driver was describing. He tells me that he wanted to get out and try to help people, but it was just simply too hot. He said that he had a couple of burns on his back and on his arms, but really he's okay. So again, another example of people who were involved in this crash, but their first instinct was to try to help other people out here on I-70. Reporting live, Alex Rhodes, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Alex. And this impacting so many people during the busy rush hour this afternoon and into the evening. And now we don't know the extent of the damage to the road, so this might be closed for some time.
Sure. The unanswered questions tonight, what kind of condition that bridge is in, what kind of condition that highway is in, and also the big morning commute tomorrow. This is a very busy stretch of highway. This happened right when rush hour was kind of starting this afternoon. So we do have our traffic reporter, Hank Carey, here now. You've been closely following the traffic disrupted by this, Hank. What's it looking like at the moment?
Yeah, so so as we've been talking about, I-70 remains shut down, and it is an active scene out there. Hours. It's probably not going to be reopened until probably midnight at the earliest, at least the eastbound side. The westbound side is going to open up sooner than that. So here's the CDOT camera, and of course it's resetting on us. On the eastbound side, that's where all that activity was set up. The westbound side, not so much. They're keeping it shut down temporarily as a precaution. So westbound should open up first, and then eventually eastbound. No idea when, but what are the alternate routes? Highway 58 is into Golden is a prime alternate. Also, US 6 into Denver is a good alternate. If you're going to be traveling around the mall, you can take some of the city streets in that area and actually get onto I-70 eastbound at Denver West. So that could be another alternate for you. Zooming on out, give you a look at the rest of the metro. C470 is also a possible alternate. That one is going to be wide open for you. But as we zoom back into that area, look at that closure. That's going to be there for quite some time. A real headache for folks. Fortunately, we are outside of the evening drive, so the overall traffic volume is starting to die down a little bit.
That is certainly good news. We're going to be closely following the traffic disruptions throughout the night. Some good news on those patients. We know that 5 of them, we're being told, are in fair condition, 1 in good condition. When you see those flames and that smoke, it's just amazing that everybody's doing so well.
Yeah, and how many people were impacted by this. To get updates on this breaking news story, head to kwgn.com. Just find the story on the homepage, scroll to the bottom, and click the Alert Me tab to sign up for alerts.
And still ahead right after the break, we're going to go back to have more on that coverage of the deadly crash. Our Joe St. George tracking the very latest from the scene tonight.
And Matt's tracking the chance for some storms. Matt?
Well, tonight the chance of storms is over southern Colorado, like around Trinidad. Those storms spread out across the state tomorrow. I'll pinpoint the location and timing in Pinpoint Weather.
Back to our breaking news. We're following this evening a massive crash on I-70, killing 1 person, injuring 6 others. Lakewood police say this crash involved 12 cars and 3 semi-trucks. The chain reaction crash sparked this huge fire, shutting down I-70 in both directions at Colorado Mills at the mall there.
Cleanup still continues. CDOT engineers are looking at bridge stability as we speak. Firefighters also cleaning up some of the hot spots on the highway. Meanwhile, we do have those patients we've been checking in on. Channel 2's Joe St. George live at St. Anthony's Medical Center. He's got an update on that. Joe.
Yeah, Kagan and Deborah, throughout this entire evening on our news partner Fox 31 here on Channel 2, we've been looking at those images from I-70, the fire, the smoke, and you have to wonder how many people are hurt in all of this. Well, from St. Anthony's, 5 people in fair condition, 1 person in good condition, and as Kagan, as Deborah pointed out throughout our coverage, and Jeremy and Interstate pointing out before that, that in itself is remarkable. This blaze, catastrophic. Of course, it's deadly, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the individual who has died in all of this. But for the 6 other individuals who were rushed here to where I'm now at St. Anthony Medical Center, to have 5 in fair condition, 1 in good condition is certainly remarkable here at the 7 o'clock hour. And Kagan and Deborah, we should point out perhaps one of the major reasons for this is that St. Anthony's, a level 1 trauma center, less than a 10-minute drive from where this accident happened. So the location of this level 1 trauma center, St. Anthony's Hospital, if you live in the Denver area for a while, you certainly know St. Anthony's, very close to this incident, and they are treating the individuals, an even split between men and women involved in this fiery explosion on I-70 this evening. But good news to report with 5 in fair and 1 in good condition. Deborah and Kagan, I'll send it back to you.
That is a little bit of good news on this evening. Thank you, Joe.
And we do want to take you right now to a live press conference being held by authorities. They are giving us the very latest on the scene, but that's going to start in just moments. We're going to take you out there. Also, we were talking about some of the injuries, though. There was another crash that happened right before this massive crash involving, we were told, a school bus. So we were kind of keeping eyes on that. There were actually 10 people injured in that crash, 6 transported to area hospitals, 4 treated on the scene. So this was already a problem area before the semi crashed.
Yeah, now for the very latest, let's check in with that news conference going on right now.
Transported to the hospital, to local hospitals. I don't know which ones, who got how many which way, but 6 were transporting according to West Metro Fire and Rescue. Still don't have any other numbers as far as fatalities or the severity of the injuries. We haven't heard any updates on that. From CDOT, there appears to be some significant damage to the bridge. There's also roadway damage from the fire itself, just heat related. At this point, it'll still be several hours that I-70 will be closed down. There's from the command post, there's absolutely no time frame for when that might open up. And other than that, I'll take some questions if anybody has.
Damage, structural damage, or damage from the fire, maybe both?
It'll probably be both. From what I'm hearing, it's from the fire, but obviously causing the structural damage from the heat of the fire.
I guess my point is, I didn't know if it was like an impact thing, a fire thing, both.
No, from what I've heard, the bridge was not impacted from the collision. It's all from the heat of the fire.
Can you say again the vehicles involved?
Sure. So we have 12 vehicles involved and 3 semis, so a total of 15 vehicles involved.
And 6 people taken out of brakes?
Correct on 6 people being taken to the hospital. Like I said, I don't know severity or anything more than that. And I'm sorry?
So the math doesn't add up. So did some people walk away?
Apparently so. Like I said, we're trying to match up right now people to cars and go from there. That's where we're heading with that. So yes, I don't know as far as, like I said, the number of cars. You're right about the math, but those people have been identified, I'm assuming, by one of the first responder groups that showed up. So
I'm sure you guys are getting inundated with tips and stuff too. We've gotten a lot. We had somebody send us a video of a semi blowing by them. They say 80 miles an hour and they think it's this one. Any more news on whether speed was a factor, if this truck was out of control?
I don't know about out of control at this point. I know we've seen those videos too.
What do we make of that?
And there could be several things. Yes, if the driver's out of control, that's certainly a big concern that we have. The question is, why is he out of control? And I know that's what the investigators will be looking into. Is it a mechanical issue that's causing him to be out of control, or is there something else going on that's doing that? So yes, we've seen the same videos, and I'm sure the investigators are getting those, as it comes there.
Any info at all on the fatality, gender, local, person in the car, person in the truck, anything?
No, nothing yet on the fatality. Like I said, still trying to piece together. It's really a big matter of putting the people with the cars. And if, that's where we have to go from here. Given the significant number of cars, we got to just start matching that up. So that's where the real investigation is going to be coming, is placing everybody, from that.
And no update on what with the news with the semi, where they're coming from, where they're going to, what company they are?
No, I have no other information on the semi. The one thing I was told by West Metro Fire is that the fire is out. What they're doing now is they're working on hot spots. We always hear hot spots in wildfires, but right now, because of the damage and the severity of it, they're having to work on pulling cars apart, and then hot spots are popping up, and they're having to deal with them that way. So still, the scene is still not safe, and we are not able to get in there and really start working on the investigation to the crash. We're still working on getting the scene safe for that end of it.
West Metro had tweeted that they were sending up a drone just to get some better visuals. Can you tell us anything about that?
I don't know anything about their drone system on that.
And who's going to be responsible for taking that semi-truck to try and figure out exactly what happened? Will it be your department?
It'll be either Lakewood or Colorado State Patrol.
Do you have someone who specializes in that type?
We have some, but State Patrol is the one that's their specialty. So I'm sure in conjunction with them that we'll certainly work with them. They can do the inspection, and it'll be Lakewood's investigation with the help of State Patrol.
Any update on the cargo that was on the 3 semis?
No, not on the 3 of them. The one, the main one involved, from what I've seen on videos, looks like wood of some kind, 2x4s or wood of, some kind.
We just don't know what.
Exactly.
That certainly sparked and/or fed the fire, all the wood that was involved.
I can't speculate what did the fire. I mean, there's,
That is the very latest from Ty Countryman from Lakewood PD on the massive investigation and the massive cleanup. He's saying now I-70 will be closed for several more hours.
And you see all the debris. You heard him talking about the hot spots. Just to remove everything from the road is going to take a long time, but then they're looking at the bridge to see if there's a structural damage there. He says most of the damage though to the bridge came from that fire. A lot of drivers, of course, looking for ways around this tonight. We want to check back in with Hank Carey, who's looking at some of those alternative routes, and it sounds like it's going to be a problem for a while. Hank.
Yeah, it really is. We're 3 hours into it. We have no idea when it's going to be reopened. Will it be reopened in time for the morning drive? Can't even guess on that one just yet. But this is the closure on Denver's west side. Westbound is shut down at Highway 58. Eastbound is shut down at Highway 6. Your alternate routes, Highway 58 is a good alternate right now, but Highway 6, though, is really backing up. So maybe think about avoiding that. Maybe use US 6 as your alternate. You can also use C470 as your alternate. We'll be here throughout the evening to keep an eye on this. And when we get more details on when we get a feel for when this is going to reopen, we'll be sure to let you know.
All right. Thanks so much.
And we do want you to stay with us. We're going to have a lot more on this breaking news story coming up right after the break.
Following some other news for you tonight, it's official now. Joe Biden is running for president. Joe Biden hit the campaign trail today after releasing a video this morning announcing he will seek the Democratic nomination. The 76-year-old held a meet and greet at a pizza shop in Delaware, the state he represented for 36 years in the U.S. Senate. This is his third run for the Democratic presidential nomination. He served as vice president under President Barack Obama from 2009 to 2017. Make sure to download our free KWGN app to get a push alert like this one letting you know about big stories.
Also tonight, President Trump is going to be visiting Colorado next month. He'll deliver the commencement address at the U.S. Air Force Academy's graduation ceremony. That'll take place on May 30th. According to the Air Force Academy website, speakers for the ceremony rotate between the President, the Vice President, Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of the Air Force. Channel 2 learning new information tonight as to why Broomfield High School students were sent home early today. Broomfield police received multiple safe-to-tell reports of a possible threat. Investigators say while the credibility of the threat could not be immediately established, law enforcement and school leaders decided it would be best to release students from school early. After sweeping the building, officers did not find anything suspicious.
Still to come, an update and the very latest on the fiery wreck on I-70.
Yeah, an update to traffic in that area and the impacts there, and new details from the scene from our own Channel 2's Greg Nieto.
This is Colorado's own Channel 2 News at 7:30.
Thanks so much for staying with us here on Channel 2 at 7:30. We want to get back to this major breaking news we've been following all evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deborah Taka.
And I'm Kagan Harsha. That fiery and deadly crash on I-70 shutting down the highway for hours. You can see why. Just those huge flames and the smoke pouring into the air this afternoon. The highway still closed at the moment.
And firefighters still on the scene, putting out what they're calling hot spots at this hour. This is video from this afternoon while the fire was at its largest. Police are now saying this will be closed for traffic for hours, as this is still a very active investigation and scene. Here's what we know right now. This happened just before 5 p.m. A semi collided with slower traffic, and that caused this chain reaction crash, igniting this massive fire. This happened in the eastbound lanes at Denver West on I-70. Witnesses report seeing a truck speeding through the shoulder lane and seeing that moment of the crash. 12 cars and 3 semis were involved. In just the last few minutes, we learned the impacts to the overpass bridge. Police saying the heat from the fire creating structural damage.
Again, we do know that one person did die in this crash. Police confirming, though, that person in the out-of-control semi was not the person who was killed. 6 patients in all were transported to nearby St. Anthony's Hospital. One of those patients is actually in good condition. The other 5 are in fair condition. That means they are conscious with minor complications. Right now, crews are still working to create a safe space there so they can start their investigation. We're still waiting to learn exactly how long the interstate's going to be shut down tonight.
Yes, and for the very latest on how you might want to get around this area, Hank Carey standing by with that. Yeah,
it was a real mess earlier today, but we're fortunately outside of the evening drive. This is a live shot from CDOT where they're forcing you off on 6th Avenue actually make that I-70 near 6th Avenue. And then this is the scene of that accident. You can see that both eastbound and westbound remain shut down. And you may be thinking, oh, why don't they just reopen westbound? There's nothing happening with it. Well, they have to make sure that the structural integrity of that bridge is okay before they start letting people go underneath Denver West. So taking a look here at the map, this is the closure area on Denver's west side. Talking about your alternate routes, you can head east or westbound on Highway 58, maybe use that as your alternate, and then Highway 6 as well. More regionally, if you needed to, you could take C470 down to either 285 or C470. Both are pretty good options right now.
All right, thanks, Hank. And we've seen in past accidents, like the one in the Tech Center a few years ago when there was that massive fire and the damage to the road, it does take a long time to try to get it back open.
It does, but I know from that accident, CDOT just works in overtime trying to get the highway back open. And in that case, the highway was opened by the next day. We're not sure if that'll happen in this case. Our Greg Neto was actually one of the first reporters out on that scene today. He's been trying to track down the answers to some of those questions for us, and we want to go to him now. Greg, have you learned anything new in the last few minutes?
Just that this is going to take quite a long time to remove the wreckage beneath us. Again, as a point of reference, Colorado Mills Mall over this shoulder, we're on the north side of the Highway Denver West intersection per se. The aftermath, of course, over this shoulder. And again, when we first arrived here, a much different story when it comes to just a big black plume of smoke and just the constant pop, pop, pop. This is the area or the berm where folks ran from their vehicles up this berm to this section of the off-ramp heading westbound on I-70. This is where our friend Darren happened to be standing and met these folks halfway. Hey, Pugs, I don't know, can you see the drone over there? To the far left. As the investigation continues here, of course, you have multiple agencies, including CSP, as well as some of the local jurisdictions, really just trying to sift through this mess behind us here, guys. But my last point will be, we were actually at I-70 and Ward surface streets for the earlier school bus accident, so we happened to be in the area when we got the call from our executive producer saying fire I-70, Colfax. So we just happened to be kind of in the right place at the right time in terms of proximity to get here on scene and provide those pictures for you really just shortly after it happened.
And Greg, if you can hear us out there, we just heard a moment ago that they're checking out the structural damage to that bridge. They think most of the damage was caused by the fire, not the accident. What do you see in terms of damage to the overpass there?
Can we kind of nestle right in there, push in over there? Yeah, Kagan, you know, they are looking at the infrastructure, if you will, literally as we speak. But I mean, again, just eyeballing it, it doesn't seem to be like there was any sort of damage done. As I walk a little bit closer to the actual beams, if you will, I'm kind of bending over just to take a closer eyeball look at it. But you do have one big rig that is still nestled underneath. So my presumption is, and again, just a guess, that once they pull one of those big rigs out from under the bridge, that will tell them a lot about the overall safety and structure of the Denver West overpass.
All right, Greg Nieto reporting from the scene. Thanks for keeping us up to date. And here's the very latest that we know right now. 10 people reported injured in this massive pileup. 6 were taken to the hospital, 4 treated on scene. Of those 6, all of them are doing okay right now. 1 person did die.
And we do know that the person who was killed was actually not in that semi that we saw in some of that video speeding past all those cars. We don't know his exact condition or her condition, the driver of that truck. But again, that was not the person killed in this accident.
Well, to get updates on this breaking news story, head to kwgn.com right now. Just find this story on the homepage, scroll to the bottom and click the Alert Me tab, and we will send you alerts as soon as we get new information. Right now, the Denver School District reviewing its use of force policy after a father says his 7-year-old was put in handcuffs.
As Channel 2's Vicente Arenas reports, it's an incident that has board members and the police chief asking a whole lot of questions tonight.
The incident reportedly happened at the Florida Pitt Waller School near Green Valley Ranch late last week. Word spread quickly, and parents are concerned.
It's kind of frightening, depending on the circumstances. It probably shouldn't happen at all.
The 7-year-old boy was placed in handcuffs after a scuffle. That information coming from his father on social media. The father also says he was told his son wanted to hurt himself and was uncontrollable.
Discussion, district strange policies and procedures.
At a school board meeting on Monday, board members had a lot of questions for the school's police chief about the district's handcuff policy.
I have an incredibly difficult time imagining any scenario where a very young person would be put in handcuffs, and I also struggle deeply with the impact on that young person, the trauma, and the going forward and thinking about their future.
Today, board member Jennifer Bacon said she wants answers.
I would love to know if this policy, first, is even being implemented properly, or does it need to be under review, because we can't imagine why a child of that age should be put in restraints outside of brandishing a firearm.
Parents say Florida Pitt Waller School sent them a note saying police were called to the school, but there was no mention of the handcuffs.
Vicente Arenas, Channel 2 News.
The district's police chief said the department will be reviewing its handcuffs policy. Channel 2 also talked to the father who posted the video about his son on Facebook. He had no comment when we reached him today.
And new developments since 4 in the case against former CU assistant football coach Joe Tumpkin, who pleaded guilty to assaulting his ex-girlfriend. Tumpkin sentenced this afternoon to 30 months of probation. He was accused of choking his former girlfriend repeatedly over the course of nearly 2 years. Additional charges were dismissed as part of a plea agreement with prosecutors in Broomfield County. During today's sentencing, victim Pamela Fine described her abuse in open court.
There is no remorse. He is an abuser. He is a violent man who beats on women. And that's who he is, and that is who he will remain, because he will not even take responsibility for what he has done. I'm not crazy. I was a battered woman who tried to protect an abuser. I am no longer a battered woman. I am strong again.
Now, Fine says she reported the abuse to then CU head coach Mike McIntyre, but CU coaches didn't report those allegations to the university's Title IX coordinator, and neither did top school officials. Tumpkin was eventually asked to resign.
New at 7:30, Colorado has agreed to pay the Department of Corrections inmate as a part of a settlement in an excessive force lawsuit. Inmate Sean Lovett will receive $200,000 as part of this settlement. It stems from an incident where 2 guards, Anthony Martinez and Shannon Proud, escorted Lovett. During the escort, Martinez yanked the chains and caused Lovett to faceplant into the cement floor. Lovett fractured his skull as a result. Martinez was fired for the incident, and Proud pled guilty for filing a false report.
Well, a busy and gruesome scene in the Green Mountain High School parking lot today. Don't worry, though, it was only a simulation. This particular simulation involved a fatal wreck. The very visible demonstration was both to give students a learning experience, but also to show the very real consequences of driving distracted. That also includes driving under the influence of marijuana or alcohol.
I really want students to realize how dangerous texting and driving and distracted driving really, driving under the influence really is. And I really think students need to realize that it's really dangerous and they need to be safe while they're driving.
Lakewood Police, West Metro Fire, and other first responders helping students with that mock accident.
A beautiful day today. Matt's tracking the weather for us. Matt?
Well, I'll help you plan your day tomorrow, including the commute. And Hank just now tweeted some detour information and further information on the road closure that's on around I-70. So a lot of information coming up in pinpoint weather and from traffic as well.
Now, Colorado's most accurate forecast with meteorologist Matt Makins.
We had some thunder shower activity today, mostly southern Colorado, Pueblo down to the south near Trinidad, around Denver, points northward. We are quiet tonight. That changes a little bit tomorrow. A little bit of cloud cover in the sky, but mostly clear here in the back is a Jaker sky cam. 61 degrees downtown, 60 out at the airport. Comfortable temperatures, not quite as warm as yesterday, but we warm up tomorrow back into the 70s. We'll start off in Denver tomorrow morning, 44, closer to 50 for the southeast, and the western slope will be in the 50s, but mostly 30s in the high country, most of which staying above freezing unless you're around Grand Lake or Fairplay. Those colder pockets cool into the 20s. Here's Futurecast. Mostly clear skies tonight. We'll pinpoint a couple of showers and some weak thunderstorms throughout the night, mostly over the western slope. This is noon tomorrow. Denver, we're starting to see some clouds pinpointed here on Futurecast again at the lunch hour. And then showers and thunderstorms, all of which with rain at midday. Now, there will be a chance of some snowfall on the higher peaks tomorrow afternoon and potentially around the tunnels, Berthoud Pass, Loveland Pass as we go into tomorrow evening. But as far as Denver, Fort Collins, Greeley, the Eastern Plains are concerned, hit and miss areas of thunderstorms pinpointed as we head into the late afternoon into the evening. We'll mostly see the cloud covers. The chance for rain is low, but it is a chance nonetheless. Kind of fitting that April has been so dry, kind of fits the historical pattern. But things do change in the outlook. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, I've talked about the drought, how it's improved, and the soggy setup that's on the way. You'll see that soggy second in just a moment with the weekly planner. First off, tomorrow's planner. We'll be in the mid-40s first thing. Pretty comfortable for the kids at the bus stops, maybe a light jacket. As we head to the midday, 69 to 72 for the lunch hour. So warming up nicely, and we'll sit in the low to mid 70s for the day. That's with that slight chance of an afternoon thunderstorm. Low 80s for southeastern Colorado, Lamar 83, 80 for Pueblo, 50s and 60s in the mountains this time, 56 around Dillon, 66 though in Eagle, and 70s off to the west. The coolest spot in the state with this map view is going to be Telluride at 49. Let's fly down. We'll pinpoint some highs closer to home here around Fort Collins, 75, 76 in Windsor, 76 in Meade, 75 for Boulder, low to mid 60s there in the mountainous spots. Great day for another hike outdoors, but you do have to watch out for that thunderstorm threat into the afternoon, particularly western areas of the metro, like Evergreen. Has a higher chance of a storm tomorrow than, say, downtown Denver. Downtown to hit 76, 77 around Stapleton and Aurora. Down into Douglas County, mostly 70s, although some 60s in the mountainous spots. 73 for Council Pines, 75 in Highlands Ranch. We'll stay in the 70s around Elizabeth and Elbert, and we'll stay in the 60s around Conifer and Pine. Denver storm chance, just a few storms is all we'll see in the sky tomorrow, 74. Over the weekend, similar story, 70 to 74 for both Saturday and Sunday. Some passing clouds and a breeze occasionally, but generally a comfortable weekend. Great for your outdoor planning. But you also need to plan on a rain-snow mix to move in. Monday, some rain showers, highs near 50. Tuesday, areas will wake up to a rain-snow mix that may linger into the midday. Temperatures do climb up to around 48, keeping it mostly rain, but we'll watch for some areas of snowfall accumulation into the elevations. Then Wednesday and Thursday, showers, and then showers clearing off as we rebound into the following weekend. Again, this is the next potential weather maker that may have an impact on your drive, your gardening, and those after-school sports. Speaking of impact on the drive, clearly we have an issue on the west side of the metro area. Hank Carey is in tonight. He has some detour information for us now.
Yeah, Matt, and as we continue to monitor this breaking news that started at around 4 this afternoon, the sun is setting on the west side of town on this very active accident scenes. They'll be bringing in lights to flood this area. If you're just tuning in, I-70 east and westbound has been shut down at Denver West since about 4:15 this morning. As we take a look at the map, or this afternoon rather, this is the area that's shut down. In fact, they are actually forcing you off westbound onto Highway 58. Eastbound, they're forcing you off onto US 6. Just into the newsroom from our reporters, we are hearing that there is a very real possibility that this will not reopen until after tomorrow morning's drive. Yes, you heard it. This is going to be shut down. This could be shut down that long. The morning drive lasts till about 9 a.m., 9:30. Let's start talking about those alternate routes. Get them in your mind. Highway 58 could be a good way around it. US 6 through Golden, as well as US 6 through Lakewood and into Denver. And you can even go the long way around using C470. But do be aware, if you use C470, the eastbound side is going to shut down overnight at 10 p.m. at Santa Fe for some construction. So if this does go into the morning drive, this is going to be a real challenge. And of course, we will have Ken Clark here to keep you ahead of the backups.
Yeah, very good information. Thanks, Hank.
And no matter which way you go, you're going to need at least 20, 30 minutes or more getting around that traffic tomorrow morning. Well, the Nuggets can close out the Spurs tonight.
And the Broncos have already made a big move at the draft. We'll explain next in sports.
And coming up tonight at 11, it's been 3 years since the football world watched the Tom Brady Deflategate scandal unfold. The twist we saw on today's date, and many more stories found in the Channel 2 News Vault on this Throwback Thursday. Join us as we take a trip down memory lane at 11.
Search KWGN on Facebook and like our page. Weigh in on today's top stories and trending news. Share photos and connect with us on Facebook today. Now, Channel 2 Sports with Bruce Hurdle.
You know, to put it frankly, the Broncos have been kind of, well, gone boon to bust, or bust to boon, rather, over the last 2 years of the draft. They desperately need another one like the one they had last year. What do they need, you ask? A better question might be, what don't they need? Well, we're still wondering. Lindsay Joy anchors our coverage from team headquarters. Lindsay?
Yeah, Bruce, they need to pick a player, or at least they will eventually. Of course, the Broncos had the 10th overall pick in the first round of this draft, but here at Broncos headquarters, we are still waiting because they traded back. They traded with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Broncos are now picking 20th overall. They also got a second rounder tomorrow out of the deal. So today they pick 20th. Tomorrow they'll pick 41st and then 52nd. We will see who those players are. Of course, we thought maybe they would take Devin Bush with that 10th overall pick, a linebacker from Michigan. They didn't. They chose to just move back 10 spots there. And John Elway said earlier in the week, it's all about hurry up and wait. And we hurried up and we're waiting some more. Bruce.
Lindsay, nicely done. Well, the Broncos mull their first pick. The Nuggets will be trying to close out the Spurs in Game 6 of their opening round NBA playoff. Nugs have established themselves as the better team over the last 2 games, but that doesn't always resonate for a young team in their first ever closeout situation.
Closing out an opponent like in their home gym is going to be one of the hardest things we've ever tried to do. We have to go down there and play the same way we've been playing, and we can't play with the pressure, or we can also play with thinking, well, we have Game 7 at home. We have to be all in Game 6.
And they have been down just 5, headed to the 4th. The big question for the Avs is they get to head to San Jose. Do they have carryover from the finish of their series with Calgary? Well, you hope so. They've won 4 straight in that series, including 2 on the road, but the Sharks are an entirely different challenge.
For us, it's just, that's who we are. I mean, we don't need the headlines. We don't need, to be hyped up before a playoff series. We, if we're in the underdogs, we'll take that, no problem.
Well, we'll see. They're the hottest team perhaps in all of the playoffs, playing extremely well, as the Nuggets are. Nikola Jokic with 30 points so far, 9 rebounds and 8 assists, but they've got work to do in this 4th quarter.
They'll close it out tonight.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Save the anxiety of a Game 7, right?
Thanks, Bruce. Make sure to join our news partner, Fox 31 News, at 9 and 10 for continuing coverage of the massive crash on I-70 at Colorado Mills. 1 person killed, 6 people injured. Lakewood police say this crash involved 12 cars and 3 semi-trucks, and this freeway could be shut down for several hours, maybe even through tomorrow morning's commutes.
Yeah, a huge mess out there. Fortunately, more people weren't injured or killed in this crash, but again, you're going to want to look for alternative routes tomorrow morning. This, we're all being told, could stretch through the rush hour tomorrow, through the morning commute. Look for those alternative routes now and plan on heading to work plenty early tomorrow morning.